Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back, everybody.
Well,
Um,
hello, Mel.
how are you doing, Tommy?
I've been sick
Just this year.
and not flu sick,
Wait,
but I'm doing all right.
you
Mentally,
got flu sick or
no,
didn't?
not flu sick.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm just not holding anything down or something like that.
Ew,
Yeah.
ew. Sorry
Anyways,
while I adjust my mic.
you tried to what with your
Oops.
mic? Oh,
Ew.
you tried. Oh, you
Sorry.
hit your mic. I thought
Yeah.
you said you tried to kiss your mic, and I'm like, what? You did what with your mic?
Why would I do that, you
Anyway,
weirdo?
I know.
Yeah.
How are you
No.
doing?
I'm doing.
You ready to go
I've
back
been
to work?
telling my husband that I've been feeling unwell. And what unwell is for me
Okay.
is you don't feel sick, but you don't feel great. You're just kinda like, "Meh."
There is a thing called meh, and that's an actual term. No joke, no joke.
I
Uh,
spared your ears with that. I had to adjust my mic because it looked like I had a dick in my mouth.
done started it off. Just started it off. We're not even at 2 minutes into the show, and you done started it off. Anyways, what do you
Sorry,
have for us
people.
today? What do you
So,
have for us today?
we gotta talk about the Apple River stabbing, okay?
Okay.
That whole trial because, um, yeah, it
Didn't go the
I'm a
way. Didn't go the way. What?
we thought it would go. The jury came
Absolutely.
back
Came back
with
like 15 minutes later. No, it wasn't 15 minutes later.
no, it was like 3 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it that's what's crazy to me. And I know that because I watch LawTube a lot. I watch trials constantly when and listen to them in my spare time. Um, yeah, a lot of attorneys are like, "Wait, what?" You know,
I
but
didn't see it going that way. Now, I
I
did say
definitely did.
he could have walked away, and I understood now what the purpose of him running to the first tube was, because that was the boy that was holding up the cell phone that he thought was in the case.
So for those just tuning in that don't know what's going on, I'm
I
gonna give
ruined
you
it
a
for you.
yeah, we kinda did, but we're let me give you a breakdown. So Nicolae Miu, he's 54 years old. He is facing charges, or he was facing charges of first degree intentional homicide for the death of a 17-year-old Isaac Schumann and multiple counts of attempted first degree intentional homicide for a stabbing incident that happened on July 30th, 2022. We are going to show the video because there was a video recording. It is very graphic. The language is horrid. Um, but it was shown in court multiple times. Um, but he what's crazy how this whole thing happened is to me okay,
Well,
let me back up here.
it's
I I I
all right.
I've got words in my head all over the place, but they're just I guess I'm just so taken aback by all of this.
Now, is this the
So,
same video that you showed
yes.
me?
Mhm.
Okay,
So
okay.
this is Nicolae Miu, okay? He
Yes.
is the and he did do the stabbing, okay? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
And the slashing.
Yeah, and the slashing, so that's what's
I mean, he gutted the kid.
oh, okay, we're gonna get there. 'Cause I wanna show you the video. I don't believe he intentionally gutted them, but let's do the case breakdown. So, if you guys didn't see our first, video on this, I encourage you, please go back and watch it, because you're gonna see our initial take on the video itself. So these are the charges that he was facing. First degree attempted homicide, 4 counts. 4 counts second degree attempted homicide. 4 counts first degree recklessly endangering safety, and second degree recklessly endangering safety, both of which have 4 counts. Now, under Wisconsin law, there's like a lot of when I looked at the jury instructions, what this judge decided to do was he wanted the jury instructions published as is, meaning the Wisconsin criminal jury instructions that's in the books. That's what he printed and gave to the jury. Um, and it's quite vague because this isn't a case that just snugly fits a mold regardless. Okay, this trial lasted about a week, maybe a little bit longer, like 9, 10 days. Okay. Quick trial. So there's 3 groups. This is the teenage boy group, or they refer to him as the Isaac group. And you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boys in here. And the boy at the very end, Isaac, who has the white hat on, is the boy that died. Okay. He's and so that was one group.
Okay.
You had but there's also someone missing in the Isaac group, which is the AJ guy who gets disemboweled. So there's like 7 in that group. Then in the Carl
Female group.
group,
Yeah.
the female group, they were across the river. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people in that group. And this is the day of. These are pictures that were taken the day of. So obviously you can see the Carlson group is hammered. And what came out in the trial was the fact that Jawan, who is the African American boy, the second from the left, he recorded the whole thing on his cell phone, on his iPhone. And apparently all the teenagers were drunk and high at the while they were tubing. He admitted that they had all had like 3, 4 beers each, and these are teenage boys,
And they
uh,
smoke with the reefer.
and smoking up weed.
And I asked you, are they going to get in trouble for smoking weed?
No. So this is the Miu group, okay? And they were upriver. And that's really important to remember because you have where the incident took place, then you have downriver and you have upriver. So it could be a little bit confusing in that respect, okay? These are the victims, the 5 people that got stabbed. Isaac Schumann was 17 and his stab wound was in the heart. It took a direct stab in the heart, which severed it. AJ Martin is the one who was disemboweled. Riley Madison was stabbed in her side right by the ribs,
Yep.
and apparently the
You can see
stab
that in the
was
film.
so hard that it broke the rib, and some of her vital organs she was bleeding internally from that as well. Tony Carlson was one of the ones Tony Carlson and Dante Carlson were part of Riley Madison's group. They tried to break up the fight and they received stab wounds as well. Not obviously not life threatening like Riley's, Isaac's, or AJ's. Now, this is what I'm telling you about. So, group 1 is the teenage boys. Okay. Group 2 is the Carlson group. Okay. The girls group. The M is the defendant, Nicolae Miu. Okay. Now I want you to see where he's positioning. So you see where these 2 groups are. Downriver would be in the direction of where Miu is. Okay. If you're going downriver, his group is going the opposite direction. His group is going where the blue arrow is kind of pointing up. Does that make sense at all?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm guessing she dropped her cell phone and it carried in front with the river. And that's why he went down that way?
No. They don't know where and it was a guy who lost his cell phone.
Yeah,
So, but
okay.
okay. The whole incident started over a cell phone. One person who was in the Mew party, I will show you. His name is Ariel. This guy right here on the left, far left, Ariel lost his phone. And it was, you see how everybody has their phones in these pouches that go around their neck. All the
Looks like
boys
he's
had,
got one too.
yeah, his phone. He lost his phone somewhere in the river. And Nicolae said, he's a hard worker. He's 54 years old, no kids, but he does know the value of money, obviously, because he said, I'll go back and I'll look for it. At first, his party said, no, 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 insurance will cover it. And he was like, but if it's right there, let's go look for it before we say, forget about it, because it was an expensive phone. So he goes over to the guys, or he goes over to the area. Now, there's only one area where the tubes release out into the river, and it's where group 1 is. That's apparently where the tubes are released. And so he was in the area looking for something, when their tubing group came out onto the river from where they were. And so what ended up happening was they start heckling him, harassing him, haranguing him. It was, and it, if it were me as a reasonable person, I would probably punch someone in the face. Words have consequences,
Yeah.
regardless. So he starts to walk away. You'll hear what they call him and how their behavior.
And they're calling him this before he even gets up to
Mhm.
the tube.
Yeah. Um, so he starts walking away, and the one who's recording it is screaming at the top of his lungs, the
Like,
African American kid, that um he's a raper, he's a pedophile. He said he was looking for little girls, and he's holding his phone up. So when he's holding his phone up on this thing around his neck and they're all obnoxious, Nicolae Miu turns around and thinks that could be his friend's phone, according to his testimony. So
yeah.
he starts to walk back, and he had his snorkel because it's very shallow water, and he was looking underwater for the phone. At some point, his snorkel gets knocked out of his hand. So he's looking for that. Then two females who I will call Karens. You guys can all, internet, you can hate me all you want, but they pulled Karens where they're across the river on the opposite side of the bank. Two women come out, and before even having a conversation with him, this is on videotape, before talking to him in a rational manner, they pull the Karen thing, get up in his face. They're pointing in his face with a cell phone, and the females touched him first. One grabbed his arm and squeezed and tried to drag him one way. The other grabs his hands and also pushes on him and is poking at him. He testified that he told them to get out of my face. What's not one of them, uh, her I think her name, Madison Cohen. Madison Cohen, she claims that he punched her in the face. She testified on the second day of trial. It is not captured on anywhere on that camera. He claims he pushed his hand up because she was getting too close to push her away from him. Um, and the testimonies varied from the alleged victims, because so Madison Cohen said that he punched her so hard, she got like concussed basically, but she said she could hear her heart, or feel her heartbeat throb where she was punched. However, when the police interviewed her that day, the officer testified on the stand. He did not see any marks on her face, no redness, no swelling. If you are cold cocked or you are socked in the face, especially to a point to where you can feel your heartbeat throb through that, wound site, you're going to have redness. If you're slapped, you're going to have redness.
And you'll take next day pictures of being black and blue
Exactly. So
and
she
have them.
claimed that she did, but then
Where's
she
your phone?
said she accidentally deleted them.
Where's your phone at? But
So that
they
I
can
thought
recover
you
all that
watched this
stuff.
trial. You were
No,
supposed to watch the trial.
no, no,
Well, F me very much because you're supposed to watch the trial. How can we have a conversation about it?
no, because we have conversations about it. But I'm saying, like, were the
You're
cops
asked,
able to get her phone?
yes, if you would have watched the trial, you would know this.
I didn't watch the trial. That's what
I
I'm
know,
telling
but I
you.
asked you to watch the trial.
And I asked you for the link, and you sent it to me last night.
No, you can go
I
if
love
you
you. I love you to death.
listen,
Let's just
people,
get.
in the future, if you want to watch any trials, all you have to do in YouTube is type in the name of the trial. And if they are doing a live broadcast, it's on YouTube. That's where I get all of this stuff.
There it
YouTube,
is.
which is what I told him. But we're going to keep moving. Anyway, so where were we? Oh, so she said she accidentally deleted it. So the police officers were like, no problem. We can get this information back. Hand us your phone. So she gave him the phone. Guess what? There were no photos on the phone. There were no photos that were deleted on the phone. So then she was like, oh, well, I must have given it. My mother must have taken it. No photos of her on mom's phone either.
Hmm.
The testimony on the stand varied in that some people claimed, like one of them who initially told police, I saw him hit her, punch her on the stand. He said, well, I didn't see it. I heard it. And in their police interviews, none of these teenage boys told or mentioned to any officer that, oh, he said he was searching for little girls. What they did say on the stand was, oh, we were reacting the way we reacted because he said he was searching for little girls. Let's have common sense here. If you don't know anybody in an obnoxious group of
Say it.
riled up teenage boys who are like 17, 18 years old, they're tall, you're an older man, and keep in mind, Miu is Romanian, so English is not his first language, but he's been here long enough to know avoid at all costs. Would you go up to them and just say, if they said, what are you doing? What are you looking for? Would a reasonable person say to them, I'm looking for little girls?
No, it
No,
doesn't even sound right.
it doesn't even make sense. Not to mention, all of them testified there were no little girls at the river that day. There was no little girls around them. There's 2 feet of water, and he's looking in the water with snorkels. So I believe that they've had 2 years to get their story straight, but not one police interview, not even on that day. None of them, Juwan Cockfield especially, none of them said anything about him being a pedophile, a pervert, nothing like that. That came way after. The boys claimed they were all terrified of him, but again, as we review the video of this, you're gonna see what I don't know. I didn't see anybody who was scared, especially Jawan Cockfield, who's the one recording it, the African American, because he's also a football player, a wrestler, a boxer. He's a big boy. This is a 54. He was 52-year-old
Yeah, he
man.
did some kind of interview, and that's what he said.
Mhm. And Richard Miu had just had triple bypass surgery or something like that 2 years before. So I don't think he would ever risk anything like that. Well, anyway, so they're surrounding him, and then they claim he hit her. And so then the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boys jumped him. No, 6 boys jumped him. JC stands for Juwan Cockfield. And then everybody from the Carlson group, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more people from the Carlson group come over, and they're also jumping him. His group is on the opposite direction. You know how there's like nothing blocking him downstream, but everybody's blocking him from going upstream where his group is. But he's getting punched. He's being the teenage boys, they're punching him, they're shoving him under the water. The video will show his
They're throwing him
neck being
around.
grabbed and kicked all at one time from all directions. Now, Mew had a pocket knife on him while everybody's screaming at him and he starts to get encircled. He pulls the pocket knife out, but he did not have the pocket knife out when allegedly he punched Madison Cohen. He pulled it out, I think, I don't know, maybe just to show it or because he's scared.
Yeah, to
I
show
don't know.
force
There was
that
a
he has
lot
a
of
weapon, and everybody just needs to leave him the hell alone right now.
but nobody saw it because he didn't hold it up. So the show force
Didn't
wasn't a
have time
claim,
to.
wasn't a claim in court. Um, so he then starts stabbing. Um, I want you to know who's in the jury because their decision, I think, is also why I'm surprised. You have two 20-year-olds. I would think that the 20-year-olds, even the 30-year-old, would vote guilty on all charges. But I would think that a reasonable 40, 50, 60, 70, and 90-year-old would say, if I were in that situation, a reasonable person would do any and everything to defend himself. Um,
You
the
as a
verdict
jury, and you keep hearing, and I'm just looking at this, and you keep hearing the same story told by another boy,
Mhm.
and they might be not fully matching, but you're listening to it like 5 to 10 times. That's brainwashing.
And I agree. And here's the other thing. This is a small town. So the jury is composed of the people of this area. There's only 15,000 people in that town. They all know each other. It's been inundated in their newspapers, gossip columns, church circles, because the boys and the boy that died and the people that were stabbed were members of their community. Whereas Mr. Mew is someone he's a Romanian
Yeah,
who was there
he's an outsider.
vacationing and he lives in where did he live in? Minnesota or something like that? It's pretty much the same thing.
They should have moved this. I feel like it
The
should have
venue
been
should have
not.
been changed,
Yeah,
but, you know,
I
it
mean, who's
wasn't.
gonna tell a judge that, "Hey, you can't have it here,"
Right.
and that he can keep, yeah,
Yeah,
your
yeah.
opinions to yourself.
So, okay. So we've gotta look at I'm gonna share my screen with you for a second, okay, if you don't
Thought you already
mind.
did.
No. So I wanna share with you what we're looking at. Can you see that? Is it big enough? Do I need to make it bigger for you? I'll make it
It
bigger
needs to
for
be a
you.
little bit bigger.
Does
There
that
you
work?
go. Yep.
Okay, so according to Wisconsin jury instructions for a criminal trial, this is what was given to the jurors. So, with respect to self defense, because he's claiming it was self defense, the law of self defense is you can claim to self defense if the defendant believed imminent danger to their person. If they also believe that the amount of force that they had to use was absolutely necessary
That's
in
the one that's
order
gonna
to
get him.
stop the danger and that his beliefs were reasonable. And reasonable belief is, and here's my problem with the jury instructions. The jury instructions are very prosecutorial friendly. Um, regardless, um, then there's also 805. So with 805, it's pretty much the same thing, but it's with force intended or likely to cause death. Everything is still the same. You know, were his beliefs reasonable? Was the amount of force necessary to, as we like to say, neutralize the threat? Or what, and was
I
there
think it was
actual danger?
absolutely necessary.
Now,
Now,
here's the
I'm not saying the whole stabbing
Mhm.
would be necessary, but the slashing to get people off, yeah.
Now, I know
Especially
you
you done took me down, not once, but twice,
right.
and then now I'm being jumped by 6 plus 12 people, and you're thinking that you're not gonna walk away with a scratch?
Oh, hell
Shoot,
no. I'm gonna rip your arms off and beat the
I'm telling you
out of you
now,
with it.
it's
So,
it
you keep mentioning about could he have left? Under Wisconsin law, there is no duty to retreat. And I want to bring this up I mean,
and the
because
and they had this, right?
yeah, well, the jury has this. Yeah. There is, because it's part of your jury instructions, but there's no duty to retreat. And the reason why I think that that's important is because think about it like this. Let's say you're in Target, right? Or you're going to Target. You're looking for a parking spot. Okay. You park in the parking spot. You're about to go in the store, and this horde of people start screaming at you. They're whatever, throwing things at your car, what have you. Do you have to run back into your car? No, you don't. Can you defend yourself if they've circled you and they're about to jump you outside your car? Absolutely. Um, a lot of people keep saying, well, he could have left. Well, he could have left. But under Wisconsin law, there's no duty to
Do you think someone
retreat.
explained to them this?
I watched the trial. Yeah. The defense attorney did.
Okay.
Yeah. Next time we trial watch, can you watch the trial?
I'd rather watch the
So,
trial with you
so
than
I can't always do that, bro. You know this.
quit your
I
job.
I gotta work. So this guy. So the other thing I want you to see is right here where it says, and I'm gonna highlight this, change this because that's ugly. Let's use this color because it's even more ugly.
Hold on.
I'm going to read it. There's no duty to retreat. However, and this is important, in determining whether the defendant reasonably believed, reasonably is really important, the amount of force used was necessary to prevent or terminate the interference, you may consider whether the defendant had the opportunity to retreat. Here's the key, with safety, and whether such retreat was
Feasible.
feasible, and whether the defendant knew of the opportunity to retreat. So I want
I
people.
think he was honestly when he got in that circle, even though the kids were he was trying to, you know, first off, he's looking for the cell phone. He just trucked down the away from his party.
Mhm.
I'm just thinking like in general, he's just trying to, he was just trying to get it back his cell phone. And then
Yeah,
everything just surrounds him. And out of nowhere, you're in that fight, flight, or
fight
freeze
or
mode.
flight. Yeah, fight, flight, or freeze. That's pretty standard. Um, I mean, your body is gonna react in one of those 3 ways.
Especially when you get taken down
So
to the ground, the fight's on.
everybody keeps saying, "Well, he could have just walked away. He could have just walked away." I don't think he intended on nobody intended
I don't
for it
think so
to
either. I don't
escalate
think
to
he
this.
had any intentions of getting into a fight with these kids.
Of course not, he looked afraid.
He was just trying to get see if they saw the cell phone.
Right, and so here we go. Here's where it gets hard. Let's watch the video.
For all my non-funny viewers, that's what she said. You said, "Here's where it gets hard."
I Yeah,
I'm
try not
30
to
minutes
laugh.
in. I'm 30 minutes in. I can
Yeah,
I
I
can
know.
let it rip
I
now.
know, I know, okay. So, I'm gonna share this with you, um, entire screen. I'm gonna I am gonna say, be advised, this is
It
really,
is got graphical nature.
yeah, graphical, is that a word?
Yeah,
Graphical?
it's graphical.
Okay.
Don't let your kids be watching this.
No. So here we go. Let's say here.
What is he on? Whoa! 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 Where's the way? Whoa! Oh God! We up! We up! What are you talking about? What the hell are you talking about?
See, he just lost his snorkel.
So yeah, his
right then and
snorkel
there.
fell down. So as he was looking for things, he claims he was stumbling around because of his shoes, and he showed his slippers. They were okay. So Tommy had this pair of Jesus water walkers that were beat to death. Okay, he wore these
They're my Birkenstocks, and I wore them for 7 years,
beat to death.
and
Okay,
it finally died.
well, he had some sandals that were somewhat similar, so he said it made his walking unstable and he was focused, but he fell over. And then he loses his snorkel that he bought specifically for that trip.
Get away from us!
You can see the snorkels right in this tube right here.
He's on camera.
The tube, if he looks straight down, right where this guy's standing, the snorkel's right there.
What are you saying?
So the direction that he's facing is the opposite direction of his group. Okay.
Yeah, I
So
think he
they're
got turned
telling him to
around.
walk away. He'd be walking downstream away from his group, which is upstream.
Yeah, but they're actually following him. Look.
Yeah, what the hell? Who is this? Yes.
Do those boys look deathly terrified to you?
No,
But that's what they claimed on the stand.
For the culture! For the culture! Who is that?
So here come the Karens. So notice, she doesn't even speak to him. She doesn't know anything that's going on. He thinks adults are going to come over and help him, according to his testimony. But she instantly comes over like
because
a
they were
Karen.
yelling out that he's looking
Who
for.
is that? Who the hell is this? Go.
Did you hear her? Just
Yeah.
take your fucking ass and go. Now, keep in mind, Mr. Miu has not raised his voice. He hasn't said anything. He's not cursing. The only people who are yelling, screaming, cursing, and being aggressive are the people that are around him.
It doesn't matter.
And this is where they seem to justify it. They brought that. He said he's looking for little girls, but they didn't tell the police that. They had 2 years to get their story straight.
I think it would be appealed.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said. We're us out.
My mandals didn't lock in on the back. Man sandals, my mandals.
So he's talking to trying to get the ladies to help him.
Yeah.
They're not helping. They're making it worse. And they're not telling not once. This is the irresponsibility of these Karens. And I am going to call them Karens. I don't give two fucks. Because I hate Karens. I'm sorry. I absolutely do. They not once did they tell those boys, calm down, you guys go. But instantly they attack the adult. Get the fuck out of here. They don't even know these boys. Okay.
No, they probably do. They're all townies.
So I want to show you where his group is. Miu's group is all the way upriver, pretty far from him. He was waving them over because he needed help, but they didn't come. So now you can see. Did you notice that there's more people from the Carlson group across the bank that are starting to come over? Even more. Let's look. So we'll go.
It's right
See?
there.
Already. More people are coming. So he's got 7 boys, teenage boys who are drinking, keep in mind. Who are drinking, people screaming at him, and there are more coming surrounding him. I think right there is when he was grabbing to check if he had his pocket.
I'm watching to see when he pulls it. Yeah, his thumb went into the pocket.
Look how close this kid is to him. If you were deathly terrified from somebody, would you get this close in their face?
No.
No, absolutely not. You would be leaving. They didn't. They turn him around. They're pushing him. Look at these boys. They're laughing. They pushed him. Now, here's the girl who got stabbed, Riley. Look where her hands are. She's got one in his face.
There's a knife. He just brandished it.
Yeah. Does this face look like? I hear them laughing and
fear?
screaming. Yeah, there's no fear. They're laughing and they're screaming. And now they attack him. Now look where this hand is. Someone hits him, pushes him down. He just had heart surgery like a year or two before. Someone's hands at his neck. Pushes him back down underwater. The teenage boy who got disemboweled is this boy in the orange shorts. Watch his actions. He pushes him underwater. And then, did you see where his hand went?
Yep.
Look where his hand is. Right at his throat.
No, but look at the belly too.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
So when he's pushing on his throat here, look where his knees are. What is he doing? He's falling backwards, right?
Yep.
So he stabs him.
And you can see that foot's up, which means he's driving forward.
So as AJ is stabbing him, he's falling backwards. The natural range of motion for a human body, if you're falling backwards and someone's pushing towards you, is this. Someone's pushing you, you're going back. Where are your arms going? Your arms are going up, because if I'm being pushed back, and that's how AJ got disemboweled. He pushed him, his hands. He already pushed him underwater. He grabbed him at the throat, pushed him back, and he is the aggressor. He's falling back.
Yeah, you see,
And
he
that's
went
when
back
AJ
on his
got.
butt.
So let's see it real time again, or really fast. This is the aggressor. That's AJ, the kid that got disemboweled.
All right.
1. Pushes him again. And now they realize he had his knife out.
He stabbed her.
And there's still the knife's in his hand. Anybody who comes at him, he's stabbing.
Look at all the blood in the water.
And that's the video. But this is the important part, is to watch. He's completely surrounded.
And I didn't see the one where he stabbed a boy in the heart, though.
You couldn't see it because the guy was
out.
running. No, the guy was running.
Oh, well, there's a blur out part too, and I'm wondering if
they're not gonna. So that's the boy.
Yeah.
That So look, they're chanting, they're jeering at him. They're not afraid. So to me, they perjured themselves on the stand as well.
And that's what I said. Would this not get appealed? And then.
So I'm going to stop sharing that. So what happened? Well, they found him guilty.
My bad.
They found him guilty for first-degree reckless homicide for Isaac Schumann. They found him guilty first-degree reckless endangerment on counts 2, 3, 4, 5 for the stabbings, the regular stabbing. And even though there is absolutely no evidence, they also found him guilty for allegedly punching Madison Cohen in the face. Let's talk about this, shall we?
If there was no evidence to her getting punched in the face, why is that even guilty? That's a townie thing. That's what I said. Can it
That's
not be
yes.
appealed?
That's what I'm thinking. It's got to be a townie thing because he's this Romanian from out of town. When I look at this video, they were like, he could have left. He could have left. I don't think that he could have.
No,
He was
because he had to go back up
disoriented.
through them in order to go.
Exactly. And if he
And
had to
then the
go that
adults started
way,
coming over, so he went over to the adults to try to get some help. I think everything he was saying was the truth.
and if he, well, here's the downside. This is where I also think he lost his case. He then, after the stabbings happened, he went back to his group. He washed the knife off. He tossed the knife. He doesn't speak to anybody in his group and then just says, "Let's go. Let's go. We got to get out of here." And then he puts on a hat, he puts on a shirt, he puts on his sunglasses. They go. They come across some police officers. What he testified to was that he saw someone with a bat coming after them. So they were out. They were leaving. And I don't doubt that. You know how townies are. But he gets put in the police car and the cop asks him point blank. He was like, I heard there was a stabbing or something. And the cop asked him, "What do you know about that? Were you involved?" And he was like, "No, but I heard about it." He basically told a bald-faced lie, like, "I wasn't there, wasn't in it. I had nothing to do with it. I didn't see anything. I just heard about it." Then in his interrogation, in his interview, he says, "Oh, yeah, I took the knife from one of them. They had knives." And, you know, he didn't have to lie, I think, but I don't think it would have mattered if he would have told the truth or not.
I don't either.
So the jury came back guilty on all counts, and he's going to die in prison. Now, I know you mentioned an appeal. Here's the thing. When you file an appeal, the appeals court just has to see if any of the rules were broken. It's all like administrative. It's not about the facts of the case. The facts of the case are determined whether to be true or false by the jury. That's why we have a jury. They can only go back and say, well, the judge's ruling on this was wrong and it severely hindered your ability to defend yourself or your defense or anything else like that. If an appeals court sees anything that they felt was not adjudicated correctly, then he can win his appeal and possibly get a new trial. I don't think that's going to happen here. I think, unfortunately for Mr. Miu, he's going to die in prison. I mean, just the amount of time he got for Isaac Schumer's uh, death is, 60 years to life. He's 54. I don't foresee him
Yeah.
living to be 100 and, 10 years old. So, and but what I was telling you before we even started recording, in our very first broadcast, you mentioned, and you did it again with this one. Are they going to be charged? Are those kids going to be charged for underage drinking and marijuana or anything else?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're not. And it really, really bothers me because everybody says, well, he could have left and all of this could have been avoided. They could have stopped. They also could have left. They admitted on the stand, those boys admitted on the stand, they had an opportunity to leave. They could have just kept going. But then one of them said, well, first they claimed that they were in fear, but then they saw two adult women come over. And then they said, well, we wanted to hear how things were going to play out. They admitted that on the stand. They wanted to see how it would play out. So I don't see how a reasonable jury can sit there and say it wasn't self-defense when it's one 54-year-old man against 13 people? He's being pushed underwater. He's being kicked. He's being slapped. He's being
I'm
choked.
amazed like the town isn't getting like egged right now.
I think, and when they were doing polls on various different LawTube sites and things
Yeah.
like that, like the vast majority of people believe that it was self-defense. I'm not saying that, there shouldn't have been any kind of charge whatsoever, but
That colon shouldn't even be on that damn charge sheet. No evidence, no proof. It's all
nothing.
hearsay.
Yeah. But she's a townie. That's what I think. I could be wrong, but I just, and here's the other thing that it made me think about. Kyle Rittenhouse was from Illinois, right? He was 17. He bought a weapon or his mom bought him a weapon that in his state he wasn't legally allowed to own. But then he comes into Wisconsin and he was able to use self-defense. They did not bring up his duty to retreat because in his defense, they said it under Wisconsin law, there is no duty to retreat.
Yeah.
But he felt, for whatever reason, his life was in imminent danger. And he was able to get off under self-defense. And he had less people at the time that he fired his weapon around him, as opposed to this 54-year-old man in water being pummeled by multiple people at one time. How is that fair? How is that reasonable? If under any
Name calls, everything, like
they called him
catcalling.
a
That's why I
raper,
said I want.
they
And
called
that,
him, which is ignorant because the term is rapist. Yeah.
new
What a
age,
bunch of
new
dumb fuck.
kids, new millennials. They want to change everything. Go ahead, change it.
Yeah. So they
UFOs.
But anyway, so they're, if you scream fire in a crowded theater, you could be charged. Well, they're screaming this guy is a rapist, a pedophile, and he's looking for little girls.
That's what
And
I'm saying. I'm amazed nothing's happened to their town.
nothing happened to them.
Like,
They went on to St. John. Two of them are living in the same dorms. You don't think they didn't have time to get their stories straight? They did. Obviously,
they
they
hung out
had their
together for
senior
2
year
years.
together. They had 2 years together. So, of course they did. And
Then their story still sucked.
it does suck.
The one interview I did see.
So then, here's the other thing I want you to ponder. Under our Constitution, you are innocent until proven guilty. The onus is not on the defense to prove his innocent. That's not how our justice system is supposed to work. That's not what's in our Constitution.
Yeah, but that's how it always seems.
It's the prosecution's responsibility to prove, and here's the key words, beyond a reasonable doubt.
Nobody understands what reasonable doubt is anymore.
Where a reasonable person, if at any point you're like, I don't know. Well, it could be, but that's doubt. Once you have reasonable doubt, I don't understand. That's not guilty.
And that's what I said. The colon thing, I don't agree with. Him being pushed where he stabbed old boy. Okay, yeah, he used a knife.
Yeah.
But who wouldn't in that situation?
Did the
I'd be
boy
hitting people with
strike him
rocks.
first?
I'd hit people with rocks if I could have grabbed them.
That's the
I'd
thing.
have
It's
tried
like,
to hold people underwater. You know what I'm saying? Like a fight is a fight.
absolutely. A fight's a fight. It's all
And
fair
this is the honest
games.
truth.
I'll break a bottle and cut you.
A lot of
I
people
don't
don't
care.
understand. When it comes to fighting, I'm in the ring, you're in the ring, and we're trying to kill each other.
In
It's
a
whoever
ring?
gets-
No, you're not really trying to kill
Yeah,
each other.
think about it. One lucky punch can end your life.
Yeah, but you're
One
not
lucky punch.
intentionally trying to kill each other. You're just trying to win a bout.
How do you
Trying to
win?
knocking someone out. And our viewers, I really want you to pay attention to this. because we don't want to get you into any kind of trouble. But knocking someone out is not equivalent to having intent to kill. Okay, boxing, mixed martial arts is a sport.
No, we
It
go out
is
there to kill people.
Tommy, stop. It's not funny. There are people who are going to take it seriously.
No, I'm being serious too.
Hold on. So Tommy and I had to actually pause this recording so that we could argue for like 30 minutes.
It was longer than that. I mean, it was to the point where it's like, can I speak? Like,
we were
hey, you guys
literally
are going to see us.
screaming.
We argue back and forth.
Yes.
And there's certain times. So I just want to clarify. I didn't mean homicide or death, murder, trying to get in the ring. But yeah, you know, I'm trying to cause serious harm to this person in front of me.
Trying to destroy him.
Without the likelihood of death, but knowing that my moves can cause death. Yes. Is what I was trying to get at.
Okay. That's
what I was trying to get at.
That's better.
Yes.
Yeah. But what happened is we argued for 30 minutes and it was so heated that I forgot what we were talking about.
Riverboat, and then he's surrounded by 14 people.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, you know, Tommy and I are both in, like, for me, a reasonable person. Reasonable. I would challenge any of these jurors and if you guys have been watching this whole thing, if I'm picking up somewhere and that's not where I left off, oh, fuck it, man. Blame Tommy.
Because you remember you showed the 805 was the last form you showed.
So,
and we were talking about all that stuff, reasonable doubt.
So with reason, any kind of thinking where you're going back and forth, if you're not solid, then it should have been a not guilty. But a reasonable person, if put in Nicolae Miu's shoes at that time. Okay, first off, I don't have a duty to retreat, especially if my people are upstream and I have to cut through you. I have to go through you. I'm being surrounded. I'm then being hit. I've already been called a rapist or a raper. Let's be dumb like them. A pedophile, accused of looking for little girls. And now townies are starting to come at me and I'm now surrounded. I would fight for my life. I would be scared shitless. The Karens didn't ask him anything. They attacked right off the bat, and then they called their
fingers
group
in the face and phones. Like, if we're gonna call a spade, that's assault.
That is assault. That's my problem. They struck him first.
I'm able to defend myself in any which way, not trying to cause death.
Right. But if you get in my face,
trying to detain you or detain the person as well as possible.
If I don't know you, Karen, and you grab my arm and squeeze or pull me, or you're in like right here in my face, pointing at me, poking me, calling me names and screaming at me, I'm going to knock you out. Because to me, that's a threat. That's a threat. That's the only way to negate that threat. I'm going to push you or punch you to get you out of my face.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to agree with that statement.
And then if other people are stabbing at me or, punching me and things like that, I will do whatever is necessary to get me home. Because at that point, I think you're trying to kill me. I think mob mentality. I think, basically, this old man got jumped.
Yeah.
By 6-7 teenage boys and a whole other group. And so I think that the jury was absolutely wrong, because I guarantee you, if one of those jurors were in the same position as Nicolae Miu, they would have done the same thing to defend themselves so that they could go home. What bothers me is kind of like what you said, Tommy, is there were no repercussions to the
boys.
The boys they were provoking him. They were antagonizing him.
Too.
They were harassing him. To me, that's threatening. These weren't small kids. They're big boys. And then for the females,
females were even worse, because instead of you're taking these boys' side without finding out what's actually going on, you hear them calling all this slander and being like, "Hey, what gives you the right to think that this guy's
Right. Who
And I
voted these
guarantee, hey,
parents to
so
be
what are you
sheriff?
trying to get? Why are you messing with these boys?
I would have been like, "What is going on,
Come
boys?
on over
Just
here.
keep
Let me
going."
talk to you. Yeah.
They didn't try and
Just keep
diffuse the
going.
situation. They
No, that
came
made it
over
worse.
yelling and screaming and making it worse. And then they started, and they touched him first. As you know, here in America, we have a right to free speech, but there are limits. You can't incite a riot. And I feel like these boys incited this mob mentality.
That's
And
what I
this
told you
man,
earlier. It looks like, and I
it
told you
did.
that the last video. It looks like it's a sight. It's a
Mhm.
riot. And I don't understand how they can't be flagged on that.
So nothing happened to them. They went on. They're at university. They're doing their things, and this man's going to die in prison. And nothing happened to the females. There was no charges for. I mean, they brought up how he lied to police. But when the defense brought up how, well, you guys never once mentioned he was claimed to be a pedophile or he was looking for little girls at all. They said, "Oh, well, our memory's better now, 2 years later than it was at the time of the incident." Well, your memory at the time of the incident wouldn't even been useful anyway because you were inebriated. You were drunk and you were high. You were laughing, you were screaming, you were
You look
picking,
like you're having a good time
you were
taunting this guy.
bullying and taunting exactly this old man who didn't say a word the entire time. And he was by himself. And then the guy who was recording it was screaming at the top of his lungs, "For the culture, for the culture." What fucking culture are you talking about? That doesn't even make sense. And he was like, "Well, it means for the greater good." For what greater good? There were no little girls there, and you know damn well that man didn't say that. You lied on the stand, and so they're walking around with this entitled attitude and this justification that they had no culpability in this whatsoever, and my contention is they are just as guilty, because had they left this man alone, their friend would have been alive. But what did they do? They even admitted on the stand, Tommy, they didn't leave because they wanted to see how it played out.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm tired of it because now what this jury has done is I feel like as Americans, they've established this precedence that we have to allow, especially as we get older, people to bully, taunt, provoke, harass, falsely accuse us of very serious allegations, jump us. But if we do what we need to do to defend ourselves, we can't claim self defense, at least not in Apple River. I will never vacation there.
That's why I told you earlier. I don't know. I'd be watching the news to see if anything happens now that the
Yeah.
video has been posted.
I don't know. Like I said, the viewers are split, all of the polls, and we'll post a poll as well. I want to see what people think. But when you watch that video right off the bat, my first thought was, why weren't the adults who were right there coming to help another adult and telling these boys to knock it off?
Yeah, where
Where were the
where
adults?
we lost it, because I would have, like I said before, I'd have pulled him off to the side and been like, "Hey, what's going on?"
Hmm.
Told the boys to
Can we
keep on
help you
pushing.
find it? And people were wondering, well, he came back. No, Jawan Cockfield, whatever his last name is, um, he was recording the whole thing. He had a phone in a pouch, just like Ariel did, and he was holding it up. And he said on the stand, he was holding it up so he could record better and get better sound, whatever. So Nicolae Miu saw that and he thought it was Ariel's phone. So he came back to see it. And not to mention, he has to come back to go to his group,
Yeah, and
which
then
is upstream.
as soon as he got up to the tubes, they knocked the damn.
They knocked the
So then
snorkel
he's
out of his
trying to
hand,
look for it, and they're splashing him with water.
laughing, jeering at him. I just don't understand. I would hate for this to happen to a 40, 50, 70, or 90-year-old who was on that jury.
Yeah, like a hometownie.
Yeah, but I think, they've had 2 years to talk about it. And this is a Romanian foreigner from not even from Wisconsin who dared to stand up for himself against one of theirs. Well, I think the jury 1000% got this wrong. I'm actually disgusted with this jury. I'm not saying that the kids deserved to die under no circumstances. Absolutely not. It's awful what happened. But there's culpability, and then we have a right to defend ourselves. If Kyle Rittenhouse can do it, why can't um why can't Nicolae Miu claim self-defense when he was being attacked and held underwater?
Yeah.
So I just feel so bad. And you know what else is a real shitter in this?
What?
His wife she filed for divorce last month.
Of course, because she doesn't
Yeah.
want to deal with all the bullshit.
But yeah, and I think part of the reason why also is that um since he's been found guilty, there's a civil suit that they could file civil suits, and I'm sure that they will. But yeah, I
Against
just
them, I don't know where they're gonna get any money from.
yeah, I don't know. I feel bad for the Schumann family, who's Isaac Schumann's, because
I
they
thought
lost a
you said
17-year-old son.
I thought you said this human family
Oh no,
and not
Isaac
human.
Schumann's family. Yeah.
That's why I
Um,
looked up. I was like, what?
because of all of this, he they lost a son, and that is tragic. That is
It is.
absolutely tragic. Um, how and nobody wants any of this, but I think those boys need to accept some sort of responsibility in this too, because I believe they started it. They absolutely started it. I think Madison Cohen and the other lady, what was it, Riley? I think that's her name. Riley. Oh, good.
I think that's what you said earlier.
Riley Madison.
That's it.
I think they thought they pulled a Karen. And man, you know, I have no mercy for Karens. I fucking hate Karens, not people with the name Karen, but that persona of I can do whatever it is I want to do, blah, 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 with no repercussions kind of thing. Yeah, I can't. I can't with you guys. Hold on one second. All right. Well, that's it.
That's all you got? What in the hell just happened to my whole head is like slowly disappearing. I might need to invest in those lights that I told you about.
Yeah. You know what, for you viewers out there, like one thing that and you'll see Tommy and I argue, um, but Tommy's my battle buddy and Tommy's my brother. We are as
Yeah,
thick
yeah.
as thieves. So I mean, we can yell and scream at each other, and just like 5 seconds later, we're joking. It
No,
just because we know. Look, we're both very passionate people.
it is. It's
Yeah. Go ahead, Tommy.
no, I was gonna say you're absolutely right. It is. It's passionate about what we do and how we
Mhm.
think, and
But
that's just how it is.
we can walk away still with, Tommy is if it's even possible to be closer than family, that's what Tommy would be.
That's what I call it. I call it the family, like
Yeah.
the brother sister.
Yeah, we're
And then a lot of times we're like this, and
yeah.
then sometimes we're like,
So, but I mean, let's see if he appeals. I don't know what grounds he would have, but I mean, maybe he can. I
Well,
don't know.
don't you also have to prove that something else, like you found some bit of evidence that could
No, not on
not
the
this one?
first appeal. No, mm-mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had to
So
ask. You know, I'm not a court person. You are.
yeah.
So, but that happens later on then.
Yeah, that could, yeah. But I mean, like I said, as far findings of fact, that falls on the jury.
I did not know that and that's something I learned today. You know, I always believe that you learn one thing a day. It might be
Yeah.
the dumbest thing in the world, but you learn it. But I thought the appeals was, hey, I didn't like this verdict, so I'm just going to throw it to the appeals. I didn't realize
Mhm.
that appeals only goes after the data. Like, was the
Well,
paper filings right where
was
the
the
admin
rulings
stuff?
correct?
Yeah,
Yeah. Were these rulings correct, or was the prosecution or the defense hindered from erroneously, wrongly prevented from, submitting this evidence or blah blah blah. Yeah, that's what that is. So, well, until the next time, right? Oh, viewers, please pay attention. Feel free to go on YouTube. Um, the Brian Koberger, man, that trial, the Idaho murder trials. Let me tell you, there's a lot of pretrial hearings that have been happening this week, and they are pretty fiery. They are very fiery. And the other, um, and what's so funny is I said Karen's, but it reminded me. So the Karen Reed murder case is also coming up. And I think that should be happening this month. So for those that don't know, Karen Reed is the woman who is accused of murdering her boyfriend, the Boston police officer. She's accused of hitting him with her car and then leaving him outside during a snowstorm,
yeah.
but her defense is saying that he was, and that the evidence will show he was actually jumped by some other police officers at the party where she dropped him off at, and they threw him outside, and now it's a cover up. I mean, this is a crazy case, but the defense is naming people on the courthouse steps before the trial has even started of being part of this greater conspiracy. This is like going to be a made for TV movie eventually. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So,
I say we watch it.
yeah, we
And
will, because just so you know, ponder on these things. The wounds on Officer O'Keefe's body include he had defensive wounds, he had wounds to his right forearm, two swollen black eyes, cuts on his face and the back of his head, multiple skull fractures that led to bleeding
he,
in the brain.
he got beat the fuck
He
down.
got beat the fuck up. But the prosecution is saying that she backed up her car and hit him and just left him there. Even though she has a rear camera in her car. And this is, I have to tell you, I've never seen this happen before, Tommy. But even in like her pretrial hearings, when she walked into court, the trial hasn't even happened. The gallery gave her a round of applause and were cheering for her as if like she's running for Olympic gold, just like, yeah, woo, yeah. What the fuck is happening here? Yeah, it's crazy. So we're gonna cover that trial because I am
I'm in
really.
total awe right now. Like, seriously, like
Can you? I don't know. And
it
apparently
had to be all her friends and family showing up for
and
day one to give her support.
no, there is a huge
Following?
following and support for her, for Karen Reed there. So, yeah, we'll go over the basics of this case so that people will know. But yeah, I think her trial is this month because they said it would be, I can get that trial date. So, April 16th. 5 days. So, yeah, I got to get you guys caught up on this, but kind of crazy.
I turned
So,
both my computer screens white, and it's so bright now.
we can do that. All right. I got to go. There's a hockey game I need to see.
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
Game day.
to all you folks at home, we'll be seeing you next week. Am I up or you up? Because you just said there's a trial out on the 16th.
Yeah. There's a trial that starts the 16th. So let's look at we'll do some background research on Karen Reed, and we'll bring it to you guys next week.
All right. You guys heard it.
Spoke at you later.